Welcome to another episode of Dr Peterson on ADHD and what's wrong with it. So let's listen to this.
The prefrontal cortex matures late, and it constitutes, in some sense, the pinnacle of neurological development, and it needs to develop in the course of intense play. And then he noticed that if...
Okay, so let's talk about that. So he is saying that if you don't have, especially boys, he doesn't mention girls, if you don't have intense play when you're younger, you develop hyperactivity and symptoms of ADHD. And that is a neurological development disorder. First of all, I do not agree with that, because neurological development does not only constitute how do you say this, the hard play, and the nurture that they needed, to play, because they are deprived from these joyful play games that they become hyperactive and start to exhibit ADHD symptoms. I somewhat agree with it, but I somewhat don't agree with it, because ADHD is indeed, and has been proven by many research, to be genetic. And, that has nothing to do with developing neurological development issues if you don't have a hard play. So let's keep listening.
If you administered hyperactive play-deprived rats amphetamine, Ritalin, that it would inhibit their frenetic playing. And that's pretty much what's happening in schools. The schools are not well adapted to boys. I don't think they're particularly well adapted to girls either, by the way.
That I agree.
Particularly not well adapted to boys. Boys aren't designed to sit still and be bored out of their skulls for 7 hours.
Same with girls. I was like that.
With particular temperaments who are even less inclined to be able to do that. If you're extroverted, highly social, possessed by a fair bit of enthusiasm and positive emotion, then you're going to appear more hyperactive. If you're creative, then your attention is going to be fragmented in some sense by the multiplicity of your interests. So if you're...
Okay, let's talk about that. It's a big topic. So he is saying that our ideas and our thoughts are fragmented due to our interests, or our different interests, and how we get bored of things pretty easily and have to switch them around. Now, he is saying that these are fragmented. He never said anything about integration of these fragmented information, which is a superpower for ADHD people. It's the ability to integrate seemingly unrelated information into one giant topic that makes sense. Okay, let's listen on.
Creative and extroverted, then you have both of those working against you in terms of your quiescent adaptation to the school environment. If you're disagreeable, which is also more likely if you're male, then you're
oppression,
to push back against what you see as stupid, arbitrary rules. And so we know
oppression,
perfectly well, for example, that
disruption, just like ADHD,
overlaps with childhood conduct disorder and antisocial behavior. And I'm not saying that...
Okay, so I have a problem with this part. So he's saying that, boys develop antisocial behavior because of the lack of the play. So now I'm going to say that their lack of attention is, they're kids. I mean, seriously, they're kids. Let them play. Let them develop, right? So let's keep listening.
Are conduct disordered. I'm saying that
conduct disorder doesn't mean oppression, and there is a trigger to conduct disorders or oppression in ADHD terms.
But it's partly their somewhat rebellious temperament. And so if you're disagreeable and extroverted and creative, well, then why wouldn't you be hyperactive? When amphetamines were first used to treat
don't mutually exclusively relate to each other or positively correlated. So
attention deficit disorder are of a different neurological type. Now, as I said...
okay, so he just said neurological type. There's no such thing as neurological type. There is an autism spectrum. There is no ADHD spectrum. Therefore, there is no such thing as what he just said. And I've looked it up, and that is exactly what I'm talking to you about.
In rare circumstances, that's true. But absent evidence for neurological dysfunction, I would hesitate to make that presumption. The run-of-the-mill hyperactive boy, if you put him on amphetamines, his attentional focus improves. Now, the original hypothesis was that's because these abnormally neurologically structured hyperactive boys have a paradoxical reaction to
abnormally neurodevelopmental issue with, like, I'm sorry, that's just not the right words to use.
amphetamine administration. It calms them down.
Yes, it does calm ADHD down.
More stimulated.
No, that it's called overstimulation. If it's regular people, that's not ADHD or dopamine deprived naturally. It will cause overstimulation, like crystal meth or whatever. It's way overstimulated for normal people, but it does calm ADHD people down. So I do agree with what he just said.
Theory and the word
Expedia helps you find the right time to book.
Here's about Expedia. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna talk about the rest without the stupid video. Not video, the marketing crap. Okay, so he also said that kids with ADHD are of different type of neurological type, which I just said. Okay, amphetamine calms them down. And last, we use amphetamine to modify the behavior of bored ADHD kids because we're too stupid to construct our education system in a manner that doesn't drive them mad. Exact word from Dr. Dr Peterson, and I totally agree. Good job relating back to what you really know and not discriminate ADHDers. Instead, you are bang outright to state that our education systems are not well developed enough to accommodate these ADHD interests as well as aspirations. Last, it's definitely overdiagnosed and unreliable test to determine ADHD. I said especially in the USA. So I absolutely agree with that. The rest of the video is exactly the same recording video as my first episode. Refrain Dr. Peterson from talking about ADHD, please, please, please. Okay, so I guess that's it for today, and thank you for listening. By the way, my last commentary, I did not rely on any doctor's commentary or go over it before I come up with a video. However, everything I said in the last video is exactly what Dr. Barkley had the rebuttal against Jordan Peterson's ADHD advice, and they are exactly the same, which I'm very surprised. So I guess maybe I am qualified to really talk about ADHD. Okay, so last thing, it's not with any disrespect to Dr. Jordan Peterson in my commentary. I love him. I love him to death. He had helped me out of suicide by listening to him many times. I have ADHD just like Dr. Barkley and Dr. Hollowell. And I don't go around talking about schizophrenia because I don't have it. And so I know what I don't pretend that I know what they're going through. Unless you actually have it, you can't come out with the fact that information you have provided was sometimes conflicting, and it could possibly confuse people who does not know ADHD enough or talk about themselves. I just don't want anybody, especially someone like you, Jordan Peterson, doctor, to misinform the public about what ADHD really is and what we really go through on a daily basis. It is not easy. And I think your video on ADHD, and I would appreciate if you take my commentary and add the things that you will do some more research and due diligence on. However, I still thank you for providing what you know and bring this to the attention of the public. Thank you very much. Good night, guys.